Hello, 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 everyone. Happy Wednesday. How's everyone doing? Good morning, John. Good morning, Patrick. Good morning, Royal Palms. Good morning, Martinez. Good morning, Daniel. Good morning, Jacob. Sterling's running late. Good morning to all the people still coming in. How is everyone doing? We have toned down tariff talk, creating quite a pop in the markets. The S&P and NASDAQ doubles are still in play. They were never invalidated. So we'll have to see if those continue to play out or not. What else do we have going on? Well, we're just waiting for some people to come in. Now people are starting to come in. All right. Hello, Charles. What is the markets pop and people drop? Or what do we have? We had mortgage information come out. Mortgage rate is 6.9% higher than previous, but they should pull back a little based off the 10-year, weakening a bit in terms of yield. What else we have? We have Federal Reserve, Beth speaking, Goolsby speaking, Waller speaking. We have the S&P Composite Manufacturing and Services. Remember, those are small to mid-sized companies. We have the EIA crude numbers and Fed Beige Book this afternoon. That's it. Tomorrow, remember, we have durable goods and jobless claims. So that's where we sit right now. Let's see. We get good morning, Anissa. All right, so it's Buy Everything Wednesday. It's okay, Sterling. Thanks for still coming in. It's Buy Everything Wednesday. Buy Everything Wednesday. Even Tesla, which had disastrous earnings yesterday, it's just buy it all. Buy it all, buy the dip. We had the capitulation short-term bottom. I think these doubles will play out. I think they will play out. I think we could, even if it gets even more momentum and they keep dialing back tariff talk, we could retest the high area. We'll have to see. But that's why we don't have a long-term bottom in yet. We don't. Everybody told you to just buy the dip. And I got so many told you so's yesterday. I'm like, I'm still long with the doubles. But everybody's, what, you bought the dip? Yeah, I'm like, yeah. Everybody thinks I'm so bearish. Yes, long term, we don't have valuations. Long term, we need a correction. Long term, Schiller PE got down to 31 something, which is not a bargain. Companies are doing beats on dialed down earnings and revenue and playing a lot of games to do beats. But this is definitely a tradable bottom. So the doubles, if they got validated, only the double in the Dow, which was one of my least favorite ones. NASDAQ and Russell did not get invalidated. Pulled back between the 50 and the 62.5. So now we're going to see. I needed to get it back above the rotation zone today. We might get there. But we still have the Trump factor in, which means there could be still something out of left field. What else? Good morning, PMG. Hey, Harold. We need a reckoning. We do need a reckoning, Charles. But who knows when that time will come? Who knows? Until then, it's buy everything. Everything's dandy. Everything's fixed in the world. We're dialing back tariffs. Everything's fixed. We don't have deals yet. We're just dialing it back. You see here, let me just refresh this because it's changing so rapidly. Technology up 3.77%. Consumer cyclical 3.68. Consumer defensive lagging at 58 basis points. So it's buy it all. Buy it all. Fed watch. Now the Fed watch, though. So it's buy it all. Everything's hunky-dory. We're pausing in May. And then we still have 1, 2, 3, 4 cuts priced in. So it's buy it all, yet the Fed's going to be cutting rapidly because, we're going to have a recession. Well, then why buy it all? Because that's good. The markets are schizophrenic, but you got to trade the patterns. We're trying to finally climb out of extreme fear. And again, Schiller PE 32.72 is yesterday's close. So Tesla, boy, don't even talk. So we had Tesla yesterday, which was a huge miss. But I guess Elon's coming back and promising still autonomous driving, which he's been promising since 2016. So we got to buy it because it was dirt cheap, not. But that's the state of markets we're in. So what do we have this morning? Boeing was a beat. AT&T was a beat. Those are the couple I was looking at after the close today. We got O'Reilly Auto Parts, Alaska Airlines, IBM, ServiceNow, Chipotle. I'll be taking a look at IBM and Chipotle mainly. Then tomorrow morning we have American Airlines, Southwest Airlines, and PepsiCo. Tomorrow afternoon is a biggie. Palantir getting close to retesting 100. Because it's this is where again, retail's buying this dip. And there's a tradable signal, but the retail buys every dip. The problem is once we get the dips that don't bounce and we don't get strong bottoming patterns, that's where retail will get in trouble because they'll buy the dip, they just keep buying, and then or the pop doesn't follow through. Now, I think this pop's going to follow through. Let's see how we close in relationship to rotation zone today. We got back above. I adjusted my level slightly intraday yesterday. I had 52.70, bouncing it back to 52.60. I was watching this little potential double top because remember I was watching us to get above a level. We got above it with momentum. We came back slightly deeper than I was looking. I was looking for 52.70. We got back to about 52.62, but retested it. Retested the level, and then we got the rotation back up, setting up a little potential double top. Then you have the tariffs on China are going to be nowhere near 145%, blah, 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 blah. So, nice little gap up, retesting where it gapped open and grinding higher. Key levels now. Key levels I'm keeping an eye on. If we do pull back, this is a pretty strong support base, tested resistance, came back down, now through it. So on any pullback, I'm watching about 54.10 to 54.17 area. Next key area on a rally, if the rally continues to stay 54.76. Remember, a lot of this stuff happens European session, and then we can go choppy into this session. So key resistance I'm watching is 54.75, 54.76. If we do get through there, it's back to the first target area on the double, 55.21. And remember, the invalidation point, which we never closed below, was 50.93.25. Still the same one. So if something shocked the market and we turn back down, that's still the invalidation point. Now, if something happens over the next couple days and we break 53.82, I'll watch for the gap fill. It is all fixed. Options 22. Everything's fixed. Hey, Christoph. Oh, yeah, he's not going to firing. So he bow beats Powell. What was it? He was a loser, too. And don't get me wrong. I'm not a fan of the Fed at all. I think they did a horrible job managing this inflation stuff back from the pandemic and everything else. And you know my stance on the Fed. I say we get rid of it, let markets and some simple rule. If you want to do short-term rates, let's tie it to a rule and let's markets figure it out on top of that. But, all right, the rhetoric of Powell's a loser, I wouldn't call him a loser. He's going to follow his own thing. He's going to do what he thinks. The Fed, if you're going to have a Fed, it needs to be independent from the presidency. It has to be. I don't think we should have a Fed, and I don't think the president should be setting rates either, by the way. So I think that's a bigger disaster than the Fed. However, all of a sudden he's gone from loser to I'm going to fire him to I'm not considering firing him. That is true. But it doesn't matter. It's why it doesn't matter what I think. It only matters what the probabilities are and the patterns are. Don't get caught up in what you think. Now, I'm still watching for this to play out. Still watching it play out because this met the criteria. Back this area that formed the bottom met the criteria. Even the reversal on Monday, April 7th, met that criteria for a short-term capitulation bottom. It just happened to set up a double. Pulled back to that 50 to 62. Now we're rallying up again. If this rolls over because something else happens and we close below the 62.5, that 50.93, the tune will change because that will shift the probabilities and it means we only hit the first target. The NASDAQ. The NASDAQ, by the way, that little 4-hour double. Now, when I have to choose between two doubles, conflicting doubles, if one would stop out the other one, I stick with the longer-term time frame, by the way. That is my rule of thumb. So a daily double will overplay a 4-hour double. If the 4-hour double will not stop out the daily double, then I can play them both. However, if one's going to stop out the other, I stick with the longer time frame. Just a little rule that I use. So if there's a weekly play, it overweights a daily play. Daily overweights a 4-hour. 4-hour overweights a 1-hour. Just a little tip that I found based off probabilities and testing. We filled the gap from the 16th. Good morning, Heinrich. Your least favorite stock? Why is that your least favorite stock? And again, I'm not defending Tesla, but a lot of people will buy Tesla no matter what. The earnings and revenue was a joke. So, but why is it your least favorite stock, Coco? I'm wondering. I'm not picking on you, by the way. It's Tesla. I mean, they could literally report zero earnings, and they could go, "Oh, we're not selling cars anymore," and people would say, "Hey, it's positive. We're going to buy it." And actually, if they just sold emission credits, they'd probably be better than selling cars. I think you have to sell a certain number of cars, though, to sell emission credits. NASDAQ filled the gap. Again, very smart people in this room. Some of the smartest and brightest people ever. They know to tune into this channel. The smartest and the brightest are here. So, again, the invalidation point still in the NASDAQ, 17,568. The gap up. The brightest people are on this channel. I'll pull back the key support area is 1877. 1877. I didn't update that level yet, but that was a prior support here. Tested resistance and rejected. Tested resistance and rejected on the gap up, and then the rotation through. So if we retrace it that far, that's very key support. If we break through there, then we're looking at the 18,635, because I got the brightest and the best and the brightest guests ever, the best and the brightest supporters ever. Then to the gap fill. Maybe we're just going to make the channel. We're going to change the tone of the channel. By the way, the key resistance area I'm watching today, if we do take off, I'm erring towards the side of consolidation based off this huge overnight move and the gap. However, minor is about just above 19,000, 19,020. Major is 19,200, 19,180, 19,200. There will be deals, and every victory will be declared, even minor victory, even that they picked up the phone. So, the Dow, which did invalidate the double, again, if you're going to err on the side of something long, the two best things for long, the first best is the S&P right now, followed by the NASDAQ. Even though Russell had a pop, it's the Dow and the Russell are the weaker ones. The Dow, support just barely able to get through the resistance. Support at 40K, major support coming in at 39.7. Then you get the gap fill. Very key resistance coming in at 4,600. The Russell, the good old Russell, popping above the resistance zone. If it breaks through here, these are the two top areas from the 9th and the 10th. If it breaks through here, the harmonics are still in play, 1978, and then I'd be looking at the breakdown zone about 1995. Okay? If we break below today's gap open, the key support now is coming in at 1900. I'll put a line there. That's just happening to be where it is. VIX, easily dropping below that 30 mark and continuing down, trading against very key support. But if this starts breaking, we'll really continue this. We should really continue this rally. So we start getting below this 28 level, especially if the VIX starts dropping rapidly. Next key area I'm watching is around 24 on a continued rally over the next few days. The DAX, finally, this was the sloppy double. Finally, oops, wrong one. Never got invalidated. Above the first target and almost to the second target with that spike high. So this is definitely raised a stop. Look where the 200 is right now at this invalidation point. And by the way, I personally would be more aggressive at this breakdown level for the DAX if that before the third target. The notes looking to rally, still not above key resistance. That's what I'm paying attention to right now to see if that changes. But the yields coming back down to very key support area. Yields dropping rapidly. Going to watch if we get back down below this 4.26 area. I'm going to be paying very close attention to 4.2. Dollar, we had the little mini double, finish hitting the second target intraday yesterday, then the gap above. I'm now watching for this to turn into a more substantial bottoming pattern against key support. We've retested the first side of the rotation zone. So now, if we don't get much more of a pullback and we get another rally tomorrow that takes out today's high, it will be a one-day pausing play. And then I'll be watching for that to take out. If we do come back down, I'm watching to see if we form a stronger bottoming pattern. Crude, nothing's changed. We did have a little potential double top yesterday, which is never triggered or invalidated. So this went way too high. So I'm still the sloppy head and shoulders is in play. But it's still reacting to the other end of the rotation zone. This is why I watch the rotation zone so closely, because you see how much resistance it's been. Not saying it can't get through there, just like the S&P, remember? Slam, 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 or we're finally getting through the other side potentially without invalidating the pattern. So sometimes it takes a bit of time, and every time it hits it, it weakens it. So I'm going to be watching. If this crude pulls back, I'm watching to see if this double remains in play. Gold. Finally, with yesterday's reversal bar, for short-term stuff, I was playing, like I mentioned, paying attention to yesterday's low, which was right at still the key harmonic, breaking down. Now, this is not a major topping pattern yet. When we do finalize a pullback and get another pop in gold, we will be looking for a more significant topping pattern. Remember how extended we are from the weekly and the monthly. Just to return to the monthly rotation zone, we could get back to even 2,900. Not saying we will, we could. So, first thing would be the weekly rotation zone. So now I'm going to start watching for the secondary reactions. That's why I was telling people cautious. If you're in this late, everybody was piling in gold. And when everybody piles in something, you got to at least watch for the short-term top, as it was going vertical. Now is we're going to watch. Not saying that we've pulled back to the daily rotation zone, so we might get a little pop here. Like we could have a little mini 1 hour double bottom. Is that the full pullback? I don't think so yet. I think we're going to have to pull back closer to the weekly or the daily rotation zone. Then we'll get the secondary pop, and then we'll see if it forms a longer term top. Copper finished the double. Double is done and dusted. Done and dusted. Anybody knows what that means? Done and dusted. Put it in the chat. We technically closed above the 62.5, so could copper continue to run? Yeah. I'm now, though, watching for a pullback to the first cross of daily rotation zone. So I'm watching for a pullback. And then watching for it to still continue higher prices. It is overbought and cycles are at the top. So that's why I'm definitely watching a pullback, because a double completed. Would not be chasing it here. Again, even on a pullback, that does not invalidate the 62.5 rule. It just means that things are overdone and we can easily pull back. Now, if we start dropping back below 4.53, not that good in the short term. Yen, little pop yesterday like the dollar. Now I'm going to also be watching for a more substantial bottoming pattern here. Euro, going to be looking for a secondary reaction up here to put in a more substantial top. There's not one yet. A lot of these currencies are in limbo land. The S&P, or I mean the spiders. Sorry, the spiders. The ETF mimicking the S&P need to close below 506 to invalidate the double. Not happening. The top of the rotation zone, by the way, is 538.60 area. We're opening at 540.69. Remember, the first target area is 542.88, which we already hit. And then I don't know why that one's off. The next target, sorry, the invalidation point was 506.86. That got moved. The next key target we're filling, we still have this minor gap here, which did not fill to this open. The open reversal, it's not technically a gap, but it's a gap to an open, 544.05. And then the highs from Wednesday the 9th to 548.62, and the first target, 551.86. On any rollover, the really key support at this point is 532, and next key support is 537. Hold on, I can't. Let me get through some stuff, then I'll have to get to the chat. Qs, big gap up here. Still have a gap left behind to 457.99, which are trading above now. So we're going to have a gap fill with a gap fill. The next major area is 458. And then you have the second target area right around 467.90. And then the final target, 476.46. Good old Bitcoin completed its double. Continued higher. I posted in Slice. Next area I was looking was 91.889. So this is definitely a stop raise for a continued play, but it has to get above 96.256 on a closing basis to flip the probabilities and invalidate the final target on the double. Again, it's buy everything here. Tesla, miss on earnings, gap up. Disastrous earnings, missed on the EPS by 34% and missed on revenue by 9%. But it's still Tesla. So I'm going to be watching for another rollover play, especially if we retest this higher end of the range. NVIDIA coming down close to the second target, but popping up here. If it closes above 107.58, the rest of the double isn't validated. Now, what else have I missed? What do you think about SB2? You want which one do you want? Do you want sugar? I haven't looked at. What do I think of? Do you think of 4-hour reversed head and shoulders? That's valid. It is valid. Sugar, not something I look at regularly. It is valid. Here's what he's looking at. I'd want, by the way, this is a little tip here. Do not trigger this one unless it closes above this defining point. Use on a close above 1805, Christoph. Just a little tip. 1805, use that as the trigger point, please. If you're looking to trade that one. Little tip. I'll have to go into that more later. And it is against the rotation zone on the daily. So, keep that in mind. Again, this would be the key level to watch for on a closing basis. So if you're trying to trade this intraday, if it needs to follow through with a close above 1805. All right. There we go. You're welcome, Options 22. Let's look at LE. What did Charles say about LE? What did I miss? Where's Charles? Here, Mike, can we check our old friend Live Cat? Oh, Live Cattle? Well, sorry, I thought you meant... Sure. It's triple topped. On the... Let's take a look. I mean, can we look at it? Sure. It's triple top, so slightly favors a breakout at all-time highs. I mean, is there a top in there? No, there was a potential double top. Let's just do the analysis on this. It's not normally. So what do we watch for? I mean, this is classic trading patterns. So you popped above the prior major resistance level, pulled back, retested it. And remember, it's an area spike below, but then setting up a percent B buy, retesting the high multiple times with the monthly rotation zone. Now it's popped above there and retested that pullback to monthly rotation zone. So what does that tell us? This is a good exercise in just some analysis, okay? It's a good exercise. Why did I pick this? This is a major, let's just do the big picture. Major key low. This was the pausing bar with an extended thing. See how that's a nice pausing bar. Extended sideways correction. The breakout above there. Where's the first target area? 28. Where did it pause? Right here. Pulling back, retesting the breakout area, now moving above it. What's the next? What did I say? 206 I meant. 206. Next is 220. So that's the next major level should it continue on its way. Did it set up a potential double? Yes. Did it trigger? No. Now it's formed a triple top. All right, so let's see with the bigger pullback harmonics. I don't care if you trade live cattle or not. This is how we do analysis, or this is how I do analysis, and I think a lot of people could learn something. This is how we're dissecting a market that I don't normally look at, but I have traded in the past. So I chose this because this is the pullback. This is the major low before it resumed its breakout, and this was the interim breakout high. Before that, I would have used reverse harmonics. So this gives us a breakout high we've retested. So what's the interim level is 213. If we can plow through these highs from the 21st of January, 213, then we have a cluster area of 219 to 230. So there's your cluster area. Okay? With no long-term top in place just yet. Hope that makes sense. So would I be watching for a top? Yeah. But is there one yet? No. All right, that's fine, Coco. I was just wondering. So that's your least favorite because of the chart. Fair answer. Fair answer, Coco. I'm not picking on you. I was just wondering. I don't like the chart either. But we'll still get these ludicrous pops in there. Let's just see the S&P powering through. Let's see how crazy the tick is today on the open. Whoa. Wowzers. 1900. That is a pretty substantial tick opening. Not as much as the 22nd, but real close. So, again, no more little mini double. Again, continued rally. Going to be paying close attention to this 2476 area. On any pullback. First little area, I'll be watching a minor area of 5432, major still 5417. Price of beef is going up. Triple M just gapped above the double bottom trigger point. Yep, we'll have to see if it sustains now. And that's on the weekly, or that's on the daily. It's valid on the weekly too, I believe, if I remember. Yep. So we'll have to see. Completely valid pattern to retest the highs. Have to see if this now closes above the key level. You're welcome, Tony. With that, thank you everyone for tuning in, and I'll see you all tomorrow for Unemployment Thursday and with durable goods. And then we got key earnings tomorrow afternoon. Until then, bye for now.